Hi, thanks for clicking on this video. I felt like talking to somebody and I want to make new connections and I want people to get to know me and not just my art. And the whole reason I want to do story times, not only because I really find myself enjoying them lately. It doesn't need to be sensationalized to be a good story. I like slice of life stories, and I feel like a story time can be that. Even though it's like from one person's point of view, I still really enjoy what they took away from the story, why they remember this, why they want to talk to you about it, so I think about that kind of stuff, and like my psoriasis hurts a lot, and I can't rush through projects, so I thought I can write down in a story, and I did. I wrote pages here of things to tell you about. I try to write a base outline because I'm not the best writer, and and I can flower it up by talking, so not a bare bones script is awesome for these story times because I often lose my train of thought and then I'll be like, ooh, that's where I was. Here I am rambling, and I just want to tell you about my story time, but that's me, and at least I can edit some of this down. Man, you have no idea how much I edit down because I go off in little tangents, and even with me pulling myself back, I don't know if anybody follows me or if anybody here is from social media. I spend a lot of time on Twitter. That's my favorite site right now. I'm a big fan of Instagram as well, but you can find me there. Maybe I'll put it like the gritty artist. I'm just the gritty artist on TikTok and everything. So, and I lost my train of thought. Oh, and I hit myself in the glass. The whole reason I brought up social media is because I mentioned on social media in the past that I have gone to Job Corps, and I've even shared about Job Corps, and Job Corps itself has contacted me to I guess be a testimonial and see where I am and how Job Corps got me here. This story is leading up to Job Corps. I hope you don't mind. I'm getting a little cold, so instead of putting my ugly flannel on, I'm gonna turn the heat on. So I hope you don't hear it. But if you do, I apologize, and I'll try to edit it out. I'm going to talk about the person I met first. I met Penny as a new student in my high school. I saw her drawing something. Oh my gosh, I cannot remember. I'm probably going to put in the comments I left and she left under a post on Facebook I made about, tell me how we met. And she left a comment telling me how she remembered meeting me, and so my interest was piqued. It was later on we learned we both lived in the same government housing. So I don't know if I've ever mentioned I grew up on government housing, since my dad was a drug addict and my mom couldn't work. We had to be somewhere. So I grew up on food stamps, government housing. I was just really surprised that she lived in the same complex as me, so there was no other rockers in my neighborhood, so I just thought she wouldn't. Like, my handful of other friends who were into anime and everything, they didn't live in government housing. They lived with their family in not government housing. And there's no shame in that. I'm not saying that. I just, usually when someone back then was into the same things as me, they lived in radically different circumstances. She didn't really have a bunch of siblings like I did. I don't know if I've ever mentioned, but I have 5 siblings, 5 younger siblings. I only grew up with 2 of them though. She only had a brother, and he was grown, living out of the house, and she was bitchy mean too. She was angry at the world for some reason too. I was bullied, mistreated, I don't know if you've seen other videos. And I don't really remember what I said, everything I said, and I feel a little more comfortable when I'm opening up more on here. So I might expand a little bit about the kind of home life I had. I really don't want to sugarcoat or lie about what's gone in my life, and I also don't want to exaggerate it, but I also don't want to throw people under the bus because I know I'm not completely innocent, because Because if you think you're completely innocent and everything that ever happens to you ever, like, I understand as a child and things that I couldn't do about my psoriasis or my weight, you know, but there were people who just didn't like my attitude and picked on those things, you know? So it was a combination, you know. The bad attitude, the way that people treated me made me have a bad attitude, so it made people treat me that way more. And like, it was nice unless you were mean to me first, but like, once you were mean to me, I just like took the gloves off and I was mean. And you know, maybe that's not the right way to be. There's degrees of defending yourself, and you don't have to go all out and be worse than the people who are attacking you, you know. So because that reflects on you. And it took me a long time to realize that as a kid, and I'm still like learning to balance, you know, and I still have a bit of that anger. She was so mean-spirited and nasty to everybody. I mean, I thought I was mean, because I was. Penny's home life was interesting in the sense that it was so different than mine. You know, my mom made me clean a lot, really responsible for stuff. You know, my mom's like, you need to do this. I remember I had to be home, so like my uncle could drop off my brother so I could babysit him. You know, I had to like, there've been times where my sister has an asthma attack and you know, she didn't take her inhaler that day, or she ran out of her inhaler. So I had to go walk to the school while babysitting my little brother to drop off the inhaler, because, you know, once in a while my mom tried to have a job. Her untreated mental illness made it really hard for her to keep a job, you know, and it caused a lot of conflict between her and I. You know, I didn't want to be home. That's why me and my friends decided, you know, to leave. But let me not jump ahead of myself. Another thing, you know, that's why I mentioned, you know, I was responsible. I was the most responsible. I could have been better, you know, but a lot of things could have been better. Everybody could be better, always. You know, and I've always been chronically ill, so everything was a lot harder for me, and I felt like, you know, it's my fault for it being so hard. I felt like a lot of the time people try to blame my lack of mobility and stuff on my weight, because I've always been one of the bigger people in the room or in school and stuff. So, you know, Penny didn't have any responsibility. She was basically an only child. And, you know, after a while they got a pet and the place got worse. But I would still go over. It was a lot better than being at my mom's. And, you know, I was a teenager and like, who cares about a messy house? You know, I'm not trying to speak ill. She's a kid who wasn't taught, and her mom was struggling, working full time. Her mom was very mousy. I felt very bad for her mom, you know, but Penny was so mean to her mom. Her mom was like so mean, like things I can only say to my mom when I'm extremely angry. I had always had art attitude. I was always sarcastic, but I didn't say horrible, mean things to her at the drop of a hat. And that was the way Penny was. And I don't want to paint Penny in such a bad light, so I'm just gonna hint at her past. I don't want to just spill it out, but something happened to her when she was young, and she blames her mom, and her mom feels that guilt, and she feels that fault about what happened to Penny. So, you know, Penny took it out. She was angry, and, you know, it's such a big deal that, you know, once you hear about it, you don't want to tell Penny something. You know, hey, dude, just be nice. Because I did do that. I was like, hey, dude, don't be so mean to your mom. She's so nice. And then she told me some stuff, and I'm just like, it's still not right you treat your mom that way, but I can understand where you're coming from, and maybe one day you'll grow past that. But her mom was eager to please Penny, so whatever Penny wanted. I think Penny's mom she had two jobs. One was at like a Walmart, and the other was she worked at a Dottie's. And if you don't know what Dottie's is, it's like an old school casino, enclosed, you know, so you can go and gamble there and win free drinks. You can smoke, you can order drinks, buy your cigarettes, you know. It's like a low-key locals casino. It's like they have them around the corner in random places, you know. It's just a little hole in the wall. And So her mom worked there, and you get cigarettes there discounted. The alcohol's at it's not that bad of a price, and if you're sitting there winning after you play a certain amount, you win like a free drink or a snack or something. They have all these snacks. It's an interesting little place. I used to live near one, and I used to take my breaks there while I was working at 7-Eleven like back in 2015. I think it was like the last job I had. So her mom would be late working at Dottie's, and I would be staying over, and she'd be like calling her mom, because I was a smoker and she was a smoker as well. I've now quit for 4 or 5 years now. I'm not sure. Every time I try to quit beforehand, I wrote down the date, and I kept looking at the date, and I focused on the date, like it's been this many minutes and hours and days since I smoked a cigarette, and I didn't want to have that again. So I just tried not to think about the date and everything, and I did such a good job I don't remember. Whenever Penny and I would run out of cigarettes, Penny would call her mom and be like, hey, we need cigarettes and cloves. Get us as many packs as you can, or sometimes she would say in a certain amount or whatever, because her mom got them on discount, and because it was Dottie's, they are already cheaper. So she would make her mom get us cigarettes, and I was like, your mom's really gonna get us cigarettes? Really? My mom was strict. My mom was a mom. What do you expect from a mom? She was more on hands off, and she would go into her depressive moods and lock herself in the room and stuff, but and like forget that we existed for a while. But she always made sure we had food. We weren't allowed to have drugs in the house, alcohol, those simple rules. She comes out and she sees us doing something like smoking a cigarette, she'll yell at me. Like my mom, I wasn't allowed to smoke, but this mom was buying cigarettes, and I was like, whoa. As an adult now, I'm like, that's not cool. But at the time, I'm like, that is so cool. Perspective, right? And then her mom, like one time we went to Smith's, and we were in the alcohol, and she had to be low key, but she would be like, I want this alcohol, Mom, and I want that. We got like Jack Daniels and rum and vodka. Some of the first times I ever drank, to be honest. And we were taking shots. We had a lot of fun. This is where I got into drinking with Penny, and we would just like smoke cigarettes. It was like living alone, being at Penny's. Her mom worked all the time, so Penny would often be alone. So she would be like, come over, I have cigarettes, I'll give you some, come over, well, I'll order something to eat. And other times, like because it's government housing, we had inspections, and like we can't get kicked out of here, so I would help her with cleaning up. One time she swept herself. She mopped herself into a corner, or into the middle of the room in a circle. And I was like, dude, do you not know how to mop? I'm like, no. I remember, teaching her about tortillas. I taught her a handful of things, nothing big deal. I'm not saying I taught her how to cook. I'm not making any kinds of claims. It's just like, she cooked tortillas in the microwave, and like my Mexican soul was like, no. It was really interesting. I don't know if you can hear my neighbors out, but I apologize. It's always loud when you're living in not so great a neighborhood. All my neighbors can hear each other. So like Penny would go and grab her mom's credit card and just buy like $200 worth of stuff online. So she would have like this new like Rolling Stones tie-dye shirt, and she would buy such cool stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm so jelly. No, I was lucky enough that we did get new clothes, but only at the beginning of the year. And my mom's like, you got to make that last all year. We were poor, so it's not like she was withholding the money she had, so I understand now. But at the time, it was like, after a while, she got moved to a different housing complex. We were B, and she moved to Complex A, so they looked exactly alike. And I went to go visit her a couple times, but I don't know what happened, and we kind of like stopped talking. And then I met this other girl. I'm just gonna do them all at once, and this could just be part 1 and 2. So when Penny went off, she moved to another place. We both went to school, continued to go to school, and I meet my new neighbor. I had noticed her around school because, you couldn't miss Amy. That's what I was going to call her. That's right. So this is when I met Amy, and I bumped into her, and we were like in between our apartments. She was just telling me some stuff. Mostly it was just me chatting. I was just like, ooh, I told her about my favorite band, which was Bam Margera. Oh my God. I told her about my favorite band, him, and I told her about some of my favorite shows, which is what I was really into, like Viva La Bam. And like, kind of, those were the people I liked. I watched MTV. I watched a lot of Viva La Bam. I was obsessed with him. She seemed like a nice girl. She slowly started trickling down, like trickling in falsehoods. They had to be. They were 100%. She was like a pathological liar. She told me that she was besties with like Villa Vallo, Bam Margera. She told me elaborate stories about how they fought over her. Now, I wouldn't have mentioned her weight or anything. I am not skinny. I am a fat girl. That's it. I'm not trying to be skinny. Yes, I'm trying to get on track and lose weight, but I have so many problems, and I don't hate myself because I'm fat. So I don't hate others for being fat. I'm mentioning because it's just really, you don't want to be that asshole who tells her, are you lying? Because I know Viva La Bam, Bam Margera, Ryan Dunn, and like some random rich guy would want you when you make me look skinny, dude. I have no idea how much she weighed. But I'm going to be frank about how much I weighed. I learned how much I weighed afterwards because I went to Job Corps. They weighed you your first day there. And I always been chubby. And I think the last time I checked before I got weighed at Job Corps, so I was somewhere between when I got weighed at Job Corps 290 and the last time I was weighed at the doctor, which was 260. I was a big girl. But she was double my size, and I was 260 pounds. She had a hard time walking. She wobbled. But I didn't care about those things. I befriended her because so many people looked at her so weirdly and treated her so badly. And I know how that is because of my psoriasis. Whatever reason she's that weight, it doesn't give people the right to treat her that way. So it made me a little bit mad and defensive for her because I saw people looking at her and talking about her weight. She really was big, and she was given access to the disability elevator and stuff, and people resented that. And she talked about, like, I don't remember who she said, like a triangle, and that she didn't want to date anybody because she didn't want to make the others mad. She could never show me a picture of her with these guys, and then she would, because I think her dad had lived in California, so she would go to California and she would say, oh, I'm going to meet up with Villa Vallo there. I'm going to meet up with Bam Margera. I knew already that Villa Vallo was touring in Finland because, I was always watching his lives. They would upload his videos onto YouTube because I was watching YouTube back then. I think this was 2007. I think I made a discovered YouTube so I could watch Villa Vallo's live stuff. So, I had a great time doing that. She's like, I'm going to meet him in California. I'm like, but Villa Vallo's in Finland right now touring. And he has date after date. There's no way he can just pop into California to meet up with this random person for a dinner date or something. Or a hangout session. She used to tell me stories about how she would get drunk with them and how, like, dumb they acted. And and then there was this other guy who was, like, suddenly she stopped telling stories about them and she came up with this other guy. We could never know who they were, never see pictures of them, but she had stories after stories. And I would just, I'll admit that a little bit, I enjoyed her. I was like, oh, who cares if she's lying about these things. And then her mom didn't speak English. So both her and her mom were, bigger. Her mom would believe every story she did. I also claimed to see Bam Margera when I knew for a fact, because of like a commercial on MTV, he's somewhere doing something with Element. And I was just like, she lied. I could tell she never heard of any of the things I told her about. But suddenly, after a while, she bought everything. She bought her way into like the fandoms. You know, suddenly she had a him, you know, shirt, and she would have like Bam Margera merch, stuff I couldn't afford, beautiful things. Like, you know, her dad would come visit and like buy her a new computer, and you know, she'd be like, help me pick out a new computer. I say new computer. For me, it was a very new computer, but you know, they went to the thrift store and bought it, and she asked me to help pick a computer. I'm like, I can try. After a while, you know, her mom was nice to her. Yeah, like I said, her mom is like that tough Mexican mom, you know, a little bit more insulting, but growing up with that, you get a little thicker skin, you know. So I didn't really think of her as mean, you know. She had little comments about weight and this and that. But Amy started to lie that her mom was like way meaner than that. But her mom would pick her up and drop her off at school. After Amy got a job at her brother's company, which was in shambles because he hired his girlfriend to do his filing and everything. And because she said she couldn't do the filing work because it was like these big huge things of files that you would have to like pull out, a lot of like little physical work. And she talked her brother into how she couldn't do it, needed my help, and I got paid. So we would sit there hanging out for hours, you know, listening to music, because mostly it was just as long as you pause for to answer the call. And you know, she had to fill out orders for the job that her brother had to do, you know, then it was good as long as she sounded professional, you know. She's just 18. I was just, I think she was 17, 18. I was 17, 18. This was right around the time I was kicked out of school, right before, you know. And you know, she would order supplies for her brother and slip in stuff for herself. And she would buy like big things of CDRs, and she offered to like download and make me music, you know, and I happily accepted because I didn't have money to buy any of the music. So any music I wanted, I was like, I want Led Zeppelin, I want The Clash, I want all of Him's discography, I wasn't into into the Beatles at the time, but I asked for so many. I had like 50 CDs. Not all of them were hers. I think the base 20 were mine that I had like gotten over the years. So these two girls were the girls I ditched. I ditched a lot, and some of them I would go to the mall, and I hate to admit it, but you know, I shoplift, and I thought it was really cool to like go to the strip, go to the mall on the strip, and steal like an exploited Casualties shirt. And I was like, I think they wouldn't mind, you know. They don't care about, but I was like, in the spirit of punk, I don't think they would care. I'm stealing my style, and I try to like, so I didn't have nice things, so I would DIY my style, and then I started stealing, and I cannot believe I will never steal again. But I cannot believe I got away with it. I got caught once, and they let me go because, you know, I guess I seem like a little kid or something. I don't know. But they're like, get the fuck out. I didn't mention that Amy, too, you know, like, grew up. She was like an only child. Her brothers were quite a few years older than her. They were living in other homes with their own, like, family. I think this brother who had his own business, a girlfriend, and some kids, was doing all right. This was the man she claimed was beating her. And I just like, I went to go spend the night at his house, and he was like, I didn't believe her, but at the same time, because of my past, you know, where, you know, my parents did hit me, not the normal kind of hitting, but like hitting me with ganchos, hangers, hitting me with hangers, hitting me with, like my dad hit me with an extension cord, you know, he threw cans at me at another time, you know, like, you know, I see my dad attack my mom, you know, vice versa. You know, I've had my dad come running at me, you know, I've had my mom come running at me, so like, I didn't believe her, but at the same time, I was like, I need to be cautious. Because what if it's true? You never know people. Even then, I was like, you don't know who will attack you. Like, my dad was, like, the nicest person. And my mom could be really nice, too. Another thing, like, her mom was so nice. Like, her mom was nice in the sense that she was thoughtful. Like, I grew up, you know, oh, you're too picky an eater. We're not going to take any ketchup, pickles, or onions off your sandwich. If you have a problem with it on your burger, then you can wipe it off with a napkin. And that's what I did, and I got used to. And I didn't even think when I first ordered. I was like 15 or 16 with her mom. And her mom noticed that I wiped off all of those condiments and stuff from my burger, that, you know, she's like, oh, in Spanish, you don't like those things? And her mom understood English, just not much. So oftentimes Amy did have to translate. But if I use simple words and spoke slow, she could understand sometimes. So I was like, oh, I just don't like those things. And she's like, oh, why didn't you ask for them off? And I was just like, oh, I forgot, you know. And from then on, because they would go out to eat often, it makes sense, you know. I didn't grow up going out a lot, you know. My mom's like, there's always food to eat, you make it. I bought things for you to make, so you make it. From then on, her mom was like, make sure these burgers don't have those things on it. No tomato, no onion, no ketchup, no pickles, please. And like, it was such a small thing, but I thought it was so nice. Like, her mom would pick her up if she forgot her lunch. Like, her mom would take her to work and pick her up from work. And if Amy didn't have money for food, her mom would give her some to order, or she would bring her some food. Like, I made some soups, I'm bringing you all food. And it's just like all these nice, thoughtful moments, you know, her mom doing this. The worst fights I had seen them have were nothing, you know. So when I got kicked out of school and I just couldn't stay home, you know, me and Penny were like, well, you know, I hate home. And Amy was like, I hate home. You know, we started hanging out, the three of us. We drank a couple times together, the three of us. I smashed my hand on some glass. I wish we had cameras back there, but back then, everybody just had a flip phone, you know. But at the same time, I'm glad. I'm glad there wasn't. I think this was 2008, to be honest. Yeah, this is 2008. So, you know, I'm out of school. You know, I'm having problems. I'm bouncing around. You know, I got into an argument with my mom, and I was kicked out, and I moved in with Amy. And then I got into an argument with my sister, and my mom's like, well, you're not 18 yet, so if you don't leave your friend's house, then I'm calling the police on her mom. So it's like, I didn't want to cause problems for her. So I moved in with an uncle near my grandma's, next door to my grandma's. But that didn't work out. I had to move back into my mom eventually, and I did not want to. So, you know, Penny didn't want to stay home with her mom. You know, the problems, the past. You know, and I guess, I don't remember, because it was hard for her. You know, pretty sure I was the one that asked everybody to go to job court with me. I was afraid to go alone. I was like, well, maybe at least one of them will go with me. They both agreed. They were sick of home. I knew Amy had said before she could never leave her mom. Her mom is older, sick, you know. She said that she just couldn't leave her, but that she's sick of her at the same time. I was like, okay. And then at the last second, she's like, maybe I shouldn't have got so mad. Maybe I'm a jerk. I don't know. But it just compounded that she, like, lied to me for I don't know how long we were friends at that point. She got everything she wanted when she wanted it, felt like. Like, it was the lying all the time. I was like, if your home life is really like that, then you would fucking leave. And if not, I don't want to fucking hear it anymore. And she got mad, and she called me some names, and I called her some names. And honestly, I don't know what I thought. Alright, so it's editing me. So I want to elaborate that I think before, when she was lying about liking or knowing Villa Vallo and all this other stuff, it was harmless It was funny, it was entertaining, it was harmless. But when she started to lie that everybody in her family was suddenly abusive in a way worse way than the shit I'm experienced, it made me mad. Because of course she's lying. Why would I believe her? You know, so I could handle her when she was lying about knowing bands I liked and knowing that kind of stuff. But when she started lying about her nice mother who does all these great things for her, it made me mad. It made me feel like she wasn't appreciative, because it was not that I was jealous so much as like I could feel that her family loved her and I didn't feel loved at the time. So for her to come in and also jump onto my pain made me mad. What's gonna happen? I don't know what I thought was gonna happen, but I didn't I was shocked, to be honest, when she suddenly had her brother's girlfriend call me. And you know, we just turned 18, maybe 6 months ago, less, more, I don't remember. She, like, to me it was like she had an adult call me. You know, she had someone who was like, I think closer to their 30s call me and tell me, hey, all this stuff Amy gave you, she wants them back now. And I don't remember if she intimidated me or whatever, but I felt intimidated and I was so mad too. And with my past, it made me not afraid of confrontation, right? After she hung up with me, I was like, what do I do? I forgot what it was. Like, I don't know if she was threatening me. It felt like she was, I don't remember. Because I immediately, because I didn't remember her phone number or anything, because I didn't have a phone. Even just a flip phone, nothing. So, you know, we had a house phone. That's how she got a hold of me. So I started 69, or is it started 87? Whatever it was, I don't remember. It's been years. And it called her back. And she always had this, you know how I said that she had to sound professional when she answered the phone? You know, guess what I heard? Amy speaking. Amy blah blah speaking. You just reached so-and-so's line marking service. And I was like, you know, you got some motherfucking nerve to have your fucking brother's girlfriend call me to ask me for all the things you gave me after you've been such a liar. You know, because we had drank in the past together, and just the two of us. And because she said her mom went through all her stuff. So she asked me to hold on to the alcohol, and I said, okay. And I told her, so, you want me to give you all the stuff you gave me? Does that include the vodka I have here? Because I just saw your mom. Do you want me to go give your mom the vodka that's yours? Like, I'm gonna give her anything back, but I told her, do you want me to give her that alcohol to your mom? She sounded terrified. Even if her mother or brothers aren't kicking her ass, her mom controlled her life, you know, like if her mom decided to not give her some money, you know, her mom decided not to take her to work anymore, you know, whatever way she would have gotten in trouble. So we went our separate ways. That's not the last you are going to hear about her. So, and in the end, it turned into just me and Amy. Alright, so I forgot to film an outro because I filmed part 1 and 2 at once. Didn't even think about an outro for part 1 till I was editing, or almost done editing. So I just wanted to say thank you. I hope you can come back for part 2. It's gonna be just as long, I'm sorry. I ended up recording like an hour and a half, and I took so much rambling out. Anyways, I hope your Wednesday's going well. And now I get to clean this.